This video will be on the social conditions of Mesopotamian civilization. Mesopotamian society was divided into 4 groups based on their profession. The first one is a royal family, the second one is the priests, the third is the rich landlords and merchants, and finally the last strata was formed by slaves. The priests and scribes held high post in the administration. They enjoyed high status in the society. The priests, already you know, the king enjoys the topmost powers in the administration. He is a representative of God on earth, and their relatives are the same. The next one, the priests, the scribes, held high post in the administration. They enjoyed life because of their high status in the society. Next one, the nobles, the rich landlords, they also enjoyed powers by heredity. They commanded great prestige and power in the administration, and as well as they were also involved in army. Surely they had a greater powers. Next one, the farmers, artisans, craftsmen formed the third strata. Sometimes they are also part of third strata. Farmers, artisans, craftsmen, shopkeepers, and all of them were on the third strata. These are the nobles. They enjoyed great powers because they were in military. And this is heredity. The last strata was slaves. The lowest strata belonged to the slaves. They could be sold and bought. You can sell the slaves and you can buy the slaves. So like commodities, they were sold and brought by the people. Women enjoyed a considerable freedom with right to property. You have seen in the law. They had a social, religious, and economic freedom. So it can be said that the women in Mesopotamian civilization enjoyed considerable freedom in social, religious, and economic life. So the freedom was given to them. From here, if you move on to the next one, that is economic condition. Mesopotamians basically followed agriculture. The main occupation was their agriculture. Agriculture means farming. It was followed by cattle rearing as well as dairy farming. So, along with agriculture, they did cattle rearing as well as the cattle will give them milk. So, dairy farming also. So, what are the animals they domesticated? They domesticated various animals like buffaloes, goats, horse, donkeys, sheep, etc. They developed a kind of irrigation facility. It is called as artificial irrigation facility. They developed bunding to land and artificially supplying water, which is called irrigation. They used water wisely. They dug canals from the rivers to supply water. Mesopotamians also built dikes, embankments, and storage basins to use water throughout the year. They built various kinds of irrigation techniques for cultivation. They built dikes, embankments, and storage basins to use water throughout the year. So when there is a little shortage, you can use by building all of them. Now, They also used shadows. And they developed these shadows to water their agricultural land. ಸೊ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಏತ. ಸೊ ನದಿಯ ನೀರಿನಿಂದ ಕಾಲುವೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಕಾಲುವೆಗೆ ನೀರನ್ನು ಎತ್ತಿ ಉಯ್ಯುವ ಒಂದು ಉಪಕರಣನ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಶಾಡೂಫ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಆನ್ ಯುವರ್ ರೈಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಶಾಡೂಫ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್? That will be the next question that comes to the understanding. They produced wheat, barley, fruits, dates were grown abundantly. These are the things they grew very, very much. And also they exported to some of the parts of Egypt as well as to India also. So in the beginning they had a barter system for trading. Later they used small metals. They also had a profession called weaving, jewelry, dyeing, woodwork, pottery, brick making, mining, metals also, metallurgy we can use. Metals are used to make different equipments, tools, as well as jewelries. When you use it, it is called as a study of metallurgy, where important crafts. So what are the metals they used for various purpose? Especially copper, iron, silver, gold, bronze were the metals they used them in their daily professional works. They also exported wooden, faber, clothes, dates, etc. to India as well as to Egypt, because they had a very good relation. In the trade, they followed barter system. So later, they used some coins for exports. The items were exported were the timber, that is wood, food grains, fiber clothes, hides, and dates, which were also exported. They used various metals for importing. They had a trade with India as well as Egypt. They used horses as well as asses. Asses means donkeys. This is the barter system, you can see. And later they used these coins for transport. So Mesopotamians had relation with India, you can see. How do they come to India? You can see on the sea route as well as on the land route. From there, they had a land route to Egypt, you can see on your right. And these are the donkeys as well as horses were used for trading purpose. Next, from here, if you go to architecture, art and architecture, Mesopotamians used bricks, mud bricks in building. So they used bricks. You don't find an architecture, well-built architecture like Egyptians. You don't find such architecture as well as sculptures. So they did not use stone much. Or because of less availability of stone, they did not use the stones. Mesopotamians did not use stones. They used mud as well as bricks to build their buildings. You can see on your right, they used only the remainings of them, only we can find out and understand. And most of their buildings were built out of bricks as well as muds. Very few of them have been survived. Especially when we see Mesopotamian civilization, we hear about ziggurats. Ziggurats were the tall towers. Here is the tall towers, temples built for prayer as well as for residence of priests as well as students. Therefore, it is also was an education center. This is the tall tower you can see for climbing. So ziggurats are the tall towering temples built by Mesopotamians for education purpose, for worship, as well as for various religious purpose. Very few of them, ziggurats and as well as other buildings have been remained. And one more thing very important we can see is the Babylonian king we have named Nebuchadnezzar constructed a palace. So this is the man, Nebuchadnezzar. This palace is known as Hanging Garden. Here is the Hanging Garden of Babylon. So this is one of the 8 wonders of ancient world. Hanging Garden was considered as one of the ancient wonders of the world. One of the 8 ancient wonders of the world. It was a huge palace with varieties of gardens on the roof of it. Mesopotamians were excellent artists and the sculptors. They carved beautiful pictures of eagles and other animals. Eagles and other animals, especially of birds. So students, copybooks and library were also made up of clay books of 4,000 years old are being found, and they used flat bricks for writing, which is known as cuneiform. They developed a writing called cuneiform writing, so which is a bit of pictographical writing but a little different. Therefore, they wrote their writings in the form of cuneiform. They used flat bricks for writing, which is 4,000 years old, which have been also found. So this flat uniform way of writing is called as cuneiform of writing. This is one of the brick you can see on which the cuneiform has been written. So Mesopotamians wrote down or composed many myths, legends, poems. So one of the important epic they also wrote down was, for one marks, Gilgamesh. It is one of the epic of Mesopotamians. It is also in the form of poetry. This is the Gilgamesh. When you see about this man only, there is a poem that is Gilgamesh. They developed that sun, moon influenced the life of people. So from there, if you are moving on to the science and mathematics, so they believed, these Mesopotamians believed that sun, moon, the planets, we also believe in astronomy, astrology also. Astrology have influenced the life of human beings. They also know the planet called Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Saturn. They have seen, or they have developed a very special interest towards astrology, astronomy. So they have a very good physics. They had faith in astrology, which was based on astronomy in India as well. They believed that year has been divided into 12 months, which had 354 days. So they divided the entire year into 12 months, and these 12 months will have 354 days. This was followed based on lunar calendar. Lunar calendar means make the calendar based on the moon, the birth and disappearance of moon, appearance and disappearance of moon. You can see Unnime to Unnime or Amavase to Amavase. You can see a 30 days of gap. So it may differ in some months or some times. Their hours had 60 minutes and each minute had 60 seconds. Every hour has a 60 minutes. So how many hours? 24 hours. and every hour has a 60 minutes, and every 60 minute, each minute has a 60 second. So that shows that they have a complete knowledge of a circle. Circle has a 360 degree. If you divide a circle into 6 parts, you get each part into 60. So they know the geometry well along with mathematics. From here, if you move on to medicine, Mesopotamians had a good knowledge in medicine. They made a very good progress in the field of medicine also. They had a book called Metrio Medica. They had a book. This book mentions about 550 medicines which has been prepared from various vegetables, minerals, as well as from animal products. So 550 medicines can be produced, and these medicines can be produced from the help of vegetables, minerals, and animal products. This book also gives a very good details about how they looked at the diseases and about their symptoms. And here are some of the inscriptions that are available based on their science and mathematics, especially about medicine also. Finally, this civilization was destroyed. There is a 2 marks question based on this. Causes responsible for the decline of Mesopotamian civilization. What are the factors responsible for the decline or the death of this civilization? Usually, when a ruler is weak, inefficient, incapable, often will lose control over the administration. This will lead to anarchy. This will lead to surely anarchy. So, when a king cannot control the administration, why? Because he is a weak, inefficient ruler. So, usually others will make time to rule it. So, there is a struggle for succession among the nobles, which is disturbed the law and order of the society. When king is weak, the nobles will take a trial to rule the civilization or the empire. So that time, another outsiders will see a very good chance for making comeback and killing the civilization. Finally, we have said in 538, an Persian emperor called Cyrus destroyed the civilization. In 538 BCE, Persians invaded and finally destroyed this civilization. And today, the civilization is no more, only muds, and the skeletons of this civilization is being shattered, and under the earth, some of the excavations are going on to discover the beautiful civilization of Mesopotamia in Syria, in North Turkey, as well as most parts of Iraq. With this, we will end the video.